Hi guys, so I thought I'd do a very quick video. I thought I'd block myself out whilst I'm doing this. Tea for this evening was a few new items. I've not been in Aldi for ages, and I'm talking since before lockdown number 2, or I can't remember now. It's been ages since I've last been in, to be honest. I think it's coming up to about a year. So anyway, Mugginsy decided to grab a few bits whilst there were a few bits of veganery items left, because, you know, last times I've been in Aldi, there's sort of been a very sparse selection of vegan items, I've got to be honest. You know, you've got the little bits here and there, but there's nothing to shout home about. My favourite items are these bad boys. And thankfully they've been having these in for quite some time. These are the vegan brioche buns. Absolutely love them. They're really sweet, they're really moist and lovely. Some of them get, you know, the vegan varieties. Sainsbury's ones are nice, but they're a bit dry, so, but they are the absolute brilliant. I picked up one of these because I've seen one other vlogger picking these up and saying how fab they were. So I thought, So this is the no beef bourguignon pie, which is topped with flaky puff pastry. Says I'm new, but whether it's one that's going to stick around, I don't know. So it's a short crust pastry base filled with seitan, mushrooms, onions and red wine gravy, topped with a puff pastry lid. 25 minutes in the oven. The job's a good one. And to be honest, I've got to say that this is really, really nice. It's got a really nice rich sauce to it. I had mine with some chips that I chucked in my air fryer that were absolutely gorgeous, and they were marked vegan as well. No idea whether they were Sainsbury's or Tesco's, one of the two, but they were amazing. And I also picked up some of this. I have never seen, well, I've seen other vloggers showing this on their videos, but when I've gone into an Aldi, I have never seen their own coleslaw, and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to get some, I'm going to try it. It's something like about 80p, and it is beautiful. It's as good as the Sainsbury's Plant Pioneer one. I really like it. I've just got to see whether the next time I go in for a quick shop, there's going to be some of this in store, because I don't know. So yeah, that was my tea for this evening. I definitely get this again. It is very rich, very, almost like as if there's a red wine in there. Because there is. Because that's what beef bourguignon is, isn't it? Beef with red wine. And this actually was really, really tasty, so I'd definitely get this again. I can't remember how much it was, something like, probably about 150, something like that, but that's that. I feel shite, I do, I'm so cold. I'm waiting to have an eye infusion and a massive test done, because I'm like losing loads of blood from somewhere, and I'm very, very poorly. So yeah, I'm not well at all. I've got a lot to be investigated at the minute, so hey ho. Yeah, I'm also actually looking at a potential ban as well. Ooh, I feel rather like I don't know, what do you call him? Bit of a rebellion person, rebellious. Yeah, I had you know, I mean, I'm at Weight Watchers, also known as WW. I mean, for me, I've been a Weight Watchers member for what, 7-8 years? It'll be 8 years. I'll have moved here in the May, and that's when I started, 8 years. So yeah, 7 years I've been at Weight Watchers, and I've never, it's been all right. I got so far to go weight, half a pound off, and yeah, no, not half a pound, half a stone. I didn't have far to go at all, but then my weight suddenly, with my health, as my health suddenly had a big plummet, I then started having, you know, really struggling, and my weight started going back on. And then it's like been a lot of years where I've really struggled at Weight Watchers. And then I was in an abusive relationship, one of many. Then I basically got rid of him, started to find me again. And that's really, really tough when you've been in a relationship like that. And then you start to find yourself again. I gave myself 6 months or so breathing space. Um, not really, not really knowing who I was at all and stuff. Then Christmas come and gone, and then I watched a program called Veganville, and it was like, yeah, I'm ready. I was looking beforehand, before that program was on, at the assortments of vegan items that were actually in various shops, including Aldi. And yeah, so anyway, um, yeah, and I dropped the weight very, very quickly within about 3, 4 weeks of being vegan. And I wasn't doing the plan. I wasn't writing things down. I wasn't weighing things. I wasn't tracking anything. In fact, all I was doing was just eating and stopping when full, basically, my vegan foods. And I wasn't gorging on snacks and stuff because I wasn't interested in them. And yeah, so yeah, I can't say that didn't go vegan for weight loss. I went for the animals totally and utterly. And I do pictures up of my meals as I do on Instagram and everything else. And anyway, Muggins here was so far along. And then the odd time I've put things up, about milk options. There's plenty of plant alternatives out there. You don't need to be with, what goes, and I'd put about the dairy industry and what's happening with cows. And, they're pregnant for 9 months. They have a fish shoved up their arse with semen in them. They're fiddled with. They're basically, they're pregnant for 9 months. Then they give birth to the calf. The calf is then taken away, and then they are then hooked up to machinery, and then milk is stolen off them. That is meant for their baby. And it's a horrific industry. And I didn't go into huge graphic details, and I didn't, I kept it as simplified as possible. I also didn't put pictures up of animal slaughter or footage of anything like that. I could have been graphic, but I wasn't. And I just kept things as simple as possible. And, when you get suddenly people that are, it's a bit of outreach. It's, to me, a bit of activism. It's a bit of outreach. It's talking to people, showing them what goes on, telling them what goes on behind closed doors. And that's what I did. I did a bit of activism. I'm disabled. I'm in my wheelchair, and I can't go doing lots and lots of things that lots and lots of activists are able to do. I so wish I could, but I can't. And for me, sort of putting a picture up and writing about it and keeping it as low-key as possible is about, talking to people about what goes on and, sowing seeds in their heads. I talked about chickens, and because Weight Watchers really do piss me off, and I've got to be completely honest. Before lockdown and we were going to Weight Watchers meetings, I'd go for my weigh-in, I'd go and sit down in the seats and wait for the talk. And it was very difficult going there as a vegan because everybody talks about the free foods, which are chicken breast, turkey breast, fish, eggs are free. So basically they're 0 points. So you can eat as many as you want, basically. It's protein, it's good for your body, it's good for you. And it would make me angry because I'd think, hang on a minute, you're saying that this is okay. And, you know, these are animals that have feelings, that feel pain, that are sentient, and basically, um, you know, they feel all this. From birth to death, they are kept in horrific conditions. From the minute chickens are hatched, you know, it's like the males are put on a conveyor belt and then they're sent in a macerator, which they're literally blended up alive. Um, the girls are then put onto another conveyor belt, which is like robotic and stuff. It then burns off the tip of their beak so they're not able to peck each other. And then they're sent either for the egg industry, or, you know, they may be sent to where they're forcibly grown. I mean, these broiler chickens that, you know, appear, you see them in film footage, and it's like they're in these gigantic hangars, these great big barns. And when they're tipped out of these little crate things, it looks like as if they've got masses of room, they can run around, but it's because they're tiny. And then because of how they are basically, they are fed stuff, but also they're given put artificial conditions because they're kept in the dark. So it's like they keep the lights on longer, so it's like they're eating faster, so they're making themselves grow fatter. But broiler chickens grow at a very fast rate. And so when a chicken is like 6 weeks old, it's like having a baby that's like 2 weeks old, and it's a year, looking like a 1-year-old child, you know, a baby, toddler, whatever. So my head's really in the shed, so I'm having to really think about what I want to say, but I just want to get it out there. Because I am a bit annoyed with the whole thing of this email that I had. And yeah, it annoys me that WW has this thing about, you know, putting out there that these are free, you know, eat as much as you want. So, you know, they're basically saying, yes, it's okay to all these practices that are hidden away behind closed doors. And I'm like, this is just disgusting. From a vegan point of view, this is really hard to sit and ignore that this does not happen behind closed doors. You know, there's an industry that's going on where it's a conveyor belt. You know, these animals are mass produced. They give birth. They have, whether it's a chicken, whether it's a pig, or whether it's a cow, whether it's a turkey, you know, it's, whether it's a cat, whether it's a dog, all animals, you know, are, but obviously cat and dog aren't going to be, you know, ones that are classed as, you know, it's a species thing, isn't it? Speciesism, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's a fact that they're saying that they're sort of sowing seeds that this is okay. You know, this is on plan. This is what we consider is okay. You know, these are good for protein. I mean, last week's topic was on about exercise and eating things that are good for you. And, you know, it's like, eat lots of salmon because it's good with omega-3. Eat your protein. What can we have for protein? What can we have? And there's like one lady who on the Zoom call meeting was like, oh, we need to have chicken. We can have chicken breast, put it into little pots and take it out with us when we go out for a snack. Eggs, we can have hard-boiled eggs, cut up into bits, put it on a salad or in a little pot with a little bit of spinach and chicken. And yeah, it's good for our bodies, is it, fuck? You know, I mean, I'm thinking of the poor animals that are just like treated like nothings. And it is very difficult when you're sitting there in a Weight Watchers meeting, whether it's virtual or whether it's actually in a room in a village hall or something. You know, you feel like saying, I just wanted to scream something, you know, this is all wrong. And I know my Weight Watchers leader was always calling this a diet. You know, Alison's plant-based. No, I'm not plant-based. I'm vegan. I'm vegan for the animals. And I'm very passionate about it. And all those animals that you are chucking down your throat once were walking around, they had feelings. They actually were in great big barns, and you know, with their bodies that are growing faster than what their little legs can, you know, basically support them for. And you know, they can't walk, they can't fly, they can't do anything. They're, you know, they're just like these poorly bodies, and it would really piss me off. And it's like fish, you know. I mean, just because they're in a water, you know, it's like they're not as visible, are they? So it's like they don't feel pain, they don't, you know, they don't feel stuff. I mean, you see, Viva has sort of done, you know, pieces of film footage of salmon that have got all this to do with the scales on their skin, and they've got this bacteria that's growing on it and really affecting their slime coat, and giving them all sorts of infections, and you know, it's burning their eyes, and because the quality of the water is really, really crap, because all they want to do is like mass produce and get these salmon growing from like babies to, oh yeah, you know, as fast as possible, because it's all about the money. And yeah, so it sort of makes me think, you know, whether on about subsidies and you know, what's paid out, and they're on about how the medical professions and you know, with various illnesses and stuff that are supported by the dairy and the meat industries and stuff like that. It's all like all backhanders to support each other. It does make me think, is Weight Watchers in that as well? Is Slimming World in that? You know, because they're encouraging people to eat chicken and turkey and fish and eggs, you know, creating it in their heads as like this perfect food that is just perfect for your body, and you're going to lose weight. And I just think all these people that are eating this food are suddenly having really struggling with health issues and weight issues, because they're shoveling this shit into their bodies thinking it's okay, and it's not okay. So I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I put up this picture of a chicken. It's like I've put up, I've put pictures up, you know, it's like the Weight Watchers Connect is basically the Weight Watchers version of Facebook and Instagram. And you can put a picture up of all sorts. You can put holidays. I've seen people putting up pictures of their pregnancy scans. And I think, well, that's really bad for somebody that might not be able to have children. How does that make them feel? You know, that kind of thing. I know, because I've been there, even though I've got one. You know, I would have loved more, but it didn't happen for me. Yeah, and you know, there's things, it's like this fine line of what's considered acceptable and is offensive to somebody. And yeah, I mean, I was like, I wasn't putting footage up of, you know, a cow being slaughtered or a bolt gun to the head. I merely was putting up a picture of some oat milk and saying, this is what happens to those that are buying into the dairy industry. You know, basically you're paying for the deaths of these calves and also the suffering of the mothers as well. And, you know, don't buy that. Have a look at these alternatives that you can find at Asda and all the other supermarkets that are literally a stone's throw away from your milk aisle, you know. And there's cheese alternatives that are fantastic, and dairy, you know, the yogurt alternatives, stuff like that. And people were like, "Oh, this is great," especially because it was like Veganuary, and you know, there were lots of positive comments. But obviously, positive, there's also going to be somebody that's going to be completely and utterly negative. And there were quite a few Karens around, I've got to say. I'm sorry if your name's Karen. But yeah, there were a few of them that were like, "Oh, I don't think this is appropriate." And I'm thinking, do you know what? it wouldn't matter what I said. You just don't want me to talk about anything that is, you know, hidden away. You don't want me talking about what happens to those animals. You don't care. You just, want to put your headphones on and put your rose tinted glasses on and basically carry on shoveling that shit down your neck. So, yeah. And that happened. And then I noticed some of the comments went a bit quiet after a bit, because I did argue back a little bit, but I thought, keep yourself quite reserved, you've got to be careful. Obviously, you're on a WW forum. You don't want to upset too much, otherwise you're not going to, it is what it is. So anyway, I did a few. I did some food videos and film footage of my food. The usual stuff like that you'd see on an Instagram or on my YouTube channel, for example. Hey, I bought this today. I don't know how many smart points it is, because I'm not focused on the plan like so many of you are, that fork out through the nose per month for all the stuff and then all the goodies at the shop, and I'm not sucked into that anymore. I just go for the basically, because I'm at goal weight, I just want to see how I'm doing for myself. So it's like the weigh-in thing. So I step on the scales at home and then I note it on the app, and I might attend some of the virtual meetings. But I don't really talk to people because it's very difficult, because they're all completely non-vegan and they look at me like I'm the weirdo. So I tend not to speak too much. Although there was, at the beginning of January, there was obviously Veganuary, and it's like one of the leaders actually said on a virtual, right, let's get this topic out of the way, that it's, she says, I'm veggie, I'm vegetarian, so, I'm not into this. I don't think anybody's vegan, it's all, ugh. And I happened to switch my mic on and I couldn't help myself, and I think my face just said it all, really. And I was like, I'm vegan. And it was like, you could hear these people that were like, And then I was asked about my vegan lifestyle, my journey, how I got there. But it was like, I was just asking these just to get it all out the way. And how hard is it? Oh, don't you miss eggs? Don't you miss bacon? Oh, a nice bacon sandwich. And I'd say, no. You think of the baby pigs that are sent to slaughter on the trucks, and, what they go through in the gas chambers and stuff. And it's like, oh. And there were a few that actually had knocked their cameras off and disappeared, and then they'd come back after so long. And it was like, this one lady, she says, oh, I lost signal. And I'm thinking, no, you haven't. You just didn't want to hear what I was talking about, so you decided to switch off. So, yeah. And then, I put up a couple of other things. Sometimes, though, I used to, at the meetings, the virtual meetings, I used to just sign out, because I just think, well, there's nothing here for me. They're just talking about meat, dairy, and and eggs, and making it all fantastic and sugar coated and perfect. And oh yeah, no, there is no problems. It's all McDonald's farm and everything's perfect. And they just wanted that sugar coated. It doesn't happen. It's all a lie. The vegans have got it all wrong. Support the farmers, eat the cheese, ooh, yeah, that kind of a thing. Anyway, last night, I put a picture up. So, like, not last night, the night before, I put a picture up of some faux chicken stuff that I'd had. And I put it up on the Weight Watchers thing. And I said cruelty-free. No chickens were harmed in this. And of course some woman was like, oh, I like my chicken. I'll eat it if I want to eat it. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, think of the abuse that chicken's going through, the cruelty. If if you had a neighbour whose dog was going through abusive, and suffering, you'd want to help it. But you don't want to help these. You just want to keep eating them and killing them by paying for it, supply and demand. And then the person disappeared. And then last night I put a picture up of a broiler chicken that had its legs up there, and I did, I put it up, and I put about the industry, and I said how cruel it was, and that these are babies. They're about 6-8 weeks old when they're sent to slaughter. They're gassed, or they're hung upside down, throats, and what goes on. And so you can have your taste pleasure of 0 Smart Points chicken. And of course, there were a few people, there was a lot of people that liked it, obviously vegans. One lady, she put that she was really pleased with my post. She says, I couldn't like it more. To be honest, she says, I wish I had the balls to put this. Fantastic. And I was like, thank you, for the support. But then she turned around and she said, well, if people want to eat chicken, let them eat it, you can't, it's up to them if they want to eat it. And I think, no, this is wrong. You can't just pretend it doesn't happen. We're voices for the animals. We're there. We're trying to get the message across. I mean, if someone hadn't have said, made the programme Veganville, for example, and Jerry Carbstrong wasn't talking about what went on, and Danny Shepherd wasn't talking about what went on, behind closed doors, I wouldn't have gone vegan. Or I might have thought about things, and it just would have, with what was going on in my life, it would have just gone back a bit. I would have thought maybe I'll do it later. Even though I used to be vegetarian and stopped my lifestyle, if you like, to a degree, went back to eating meat because of my ex-fella. But hey, not going to go into that. But yeah, having things like this go on, it's like, without people saying something, the awakening doesn't happen in the head. Once you've seen something, you can't unsee it. So I think it's important to sow seeds, and it's a form of activism, whether it's, talking about it, whether it's a cube, whether it's chalking, whether it's a sticker, whether it's, a visual of some description and a little bit of write-up, whether it's a YouTube channel. It's talking about it and, talking about this and keeping talking, which is important. So the more that people hear about it and see about it, the more changes can happen. Ooh, I feel quite empowered. But yeah, so that's what happened. And I was a bit pissed off with this woman, Mrs. Plant. I thought, you're plant-based, you're not vegan if you've got that kind of an attitude. And she says, oh, I've been vegan for 40 years. And I'm thinking, but something's not quite right for you to want to say that what I'm saying is correct. And, I should be backing the animals up. It was all, oh, let's not do that. So, yeah. But anyway, I had an email today that was from Weight Watchers, and it was like, oh, we've had some complaints about, I feel like, I feel like BBC and Ofcom, is it, when they get complaints in about, something like on the X Factor or something. It's like, I've had one to do with Weight Watchers, and it's like, bloody hellfire. Yeah, I've had a few complaints apparently about what I put, and they don't like it. So therefore, I'm not allowed to talk about anything like that. It doesn't matter that I might be offended by the sight of body parts that they've roasted for their tea, the chicken periods that they've got on a plate that they've fried up or whatever on a piece of toast, the butter that they've used in something, the cheese that's topped across a pizza that they've used. It doesn't matter. I'm not allowed to say anything anymore, because if I do, then my account will be blocked, and I will be able to just pay and weigh and then do the Zooms, and that'll be it. So yeah, thanks Weight Watchers, you know. So there we go. I just thought I'd get it out there. I just thought, I'm just a bit pissed off, to be honest. But do you know what? I really couldn't give a shit, to be honest, because to me, it's the animals that are the most important. And yeah, I'll continue fighting for them and continue speaking out and doing a little bit of visual and vocal activism. I mean, a lady today, she put on the Weight Watchers Connect. I happened to go on there, and there was a lady who said she made 2 lasagnas. She says, I'm vegan, and the kids are eating vegan food quite happily. The husband isn't keen on cheese, the vegan cheese. So she says, oh, I've had to do normal cheese for him. And I says, well, show him the secrets of the dairy industry, what goes on. And basically just, you know, say to him that this is what goes on for your few minutes of taste pleasure, the death of those calves. You know, what goes on. So, you know, talk to him, get him to try different cheeses, the vegan cheeses. Give yourself a month off from having vegan cheese, or any, even the, yeah, animal secretion one. You know, give yourself a breather for about a month and then try out the vegan cheeses, because your body needs a bit of time to adjust. It took me a few goes. Life I used to live off anyway before I went vegan, because I just was in that mindset. But I didn't know what went on with the dairy and egg industry then, because I was a 70s kid, and in the 80s when I went veggie, there was none of this YouTube stuff and none of these activists and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was just looking at leaflets and stuff. So the times were very different back then. You know, so it was a completely different situation for me. So it was about forming a picture in my head and just going with what I felt at the time. And I wanted to be, you know, just not eating meat anymore. I didn't want to eat animals, but I thought that it was okay. But nowadays, I mean, for God's sakes, we've got the, you know, the internet at our fingertips, and we can see exactly what's what, you know, with what's hidden behind closed doors. There's activists that are filming from inside barns and, you know, all sorts of farm and industry places and stuff, and you can see it. How can you see stuff, footage, and suddenly carry on, just carrying on as you are? It just beyonds me. I just can't put my words into it. It's just disgusting. I just wish everybody would just stop what they're doing and go vegan, because it's the best thing you can do. It's better for the animals,